Hi everyone, and thanks for being here. The new moon marks the first lunar phase, and as a new moon, it represents the start of a new lunar cycle and symbolizes new beginnings. You can tap into and use the energy of a new moon to help you achieve your goals or to start a new project. Many people who work with the phases of the moon will agree that energies are lighter at this time and may explain why it is believed to be the most favourable time to set new intentions, goals, or to start a new project. It is also a good time to address our plans and goals, as it is possible that they may have changed. And if they have, we need to change with them. It is important to understand change is happening all the time, however subtle, and yet it can lead to big changes. For this reason, the ability to adapt to change is paramount. My number one recommendation would be to keep a journal if you wish to study and work with the phases of the moon. I remember when I first learned about the phases of the moon, it was a book I had picked up all about the moon, and I was truly fascinated. But to be honest, I wasn't sold on the idea that a planet in the sky could not only affect my moods, but the circumstances around me too. In a way, I kind of liked this idea as I begin to understand that at different times of the lunar cycle, I could actually feel so different. Could this be true? I wondered, as I still had my logic brain in gear. So that was why I decided to keep a journal. Wow, that was 30 years ago, and has proved to be the beginning of an amazing journey for me. And yes, I was hooked. So much so, in the last 15 years, I've been teaching the subject, working with the phases of the moon. To me, it's moon magic. To me, it's just magical how the moon can have such an effect on us. Today, I understand, just in the same way as the moon rises and lowers the tides of the sea each day, her power can also have an effect on us, particularly at those inner levels of thought and emotion. This could be exactly why her effect on our emotions is so grand. I would like to share how I use the journal for it to bring me to this way of thinking. So I bought myself a book, just a basic lined book, where every day when I got up, I would put the date and an entry of how I felt, both mentally and emotionally. I then later also logged my actions, reactions, and general behaviour of that day. How things went, both the good and the not so good. And I think I did this for approximately 3 months. Now, during this time, I had actually forgotten all about the moon book, as I was quite happy using my journal as a therapeutic tool in its own right. This was also a time when I had embarked on a counselling course, and we were looking at journal work. Yes, it is a tool used by many therapists. But what I was later to find out about my journal blew my mind, and was to literally change my life in so many ways. It was 3 months later when I decided to look through my journal, and as I was reading, I remembered the moon book and the theory that the moon could have an effect on our moods. So I quickly fetched my diary that had the phases of the moon in, and I started to match the moon's phase to the date I had put in the journal. You're right. The correlation I found was unbelievable. I think that was most definitely a light bulb moment when I actually saw that the dates in my journal, the phases of the moon, and my entries actually correlated. I was blown away. Especially as at that time that I'm talking about, I wasn't aware of the exact phase of the moon that I was in when making those entries in the journal. I have since worked studiously with the moon cycles, and I've personally found it has made my life easier in so many ways. Even if it's just an understanding or an awareness of why I feel the way I do at certain times. I always recommend keeping a journal. Just finding a book, any book, that can become your journal, and see for yourself if the moon has an effect on you in any way. If it does, perhaps then it can help you to understand why you are feeling the way you do at the different times, depending on the moon cycle. It also brings me great pleasure to share my understanding, my perspective, and my personal experience of the subject in my teachings. When I can see it inspires and can help others, it can be very humbling. And for this, I am truly grateful. So, let us begin by looking at the 4 lunar phases. Okay, so there are 28 days in the average lunar cycle, with 4 phases in the moon cycle, and always begins with the new moon. The 4 lunar phases are new moon, first quarter, full moon, and last quarter. Last quarter is also known as third or final quarter. As the moon travels around, it will pass through its phases. The time between the new moon and the full moon is the waxing period, lasting approximately 14 days. The time between the full moon and the next new moon is the waning period. This is very different to the waxing period. This is a time to let things go. The term waxing means that the moon becomes more illuminated as each night goes by, and the term waning means decreases, that it's getting less illuminated each night. All this will make so much more sense in the teachings, but I believe what follows will be helpful prior to the lesson. So let's begin with the new moon. This is the time when you can experience a solar eclipse, where the moon will pass directly in front of the sun, and it casts a shadow onto the surface of the earth. Now, what are the influences of the new moon? Generally, it is the time to initiate all new beginnings. Actively seek new home, new job, new relationship. All new ideas can be drawn up. New contacts can be made more easily this time. It's also a good time to apply for that promotion or seek a new job. Great time to introduce new ideas or submit proposals or enter into partnerships. Also, a good time to set projects in motion and arrange those important meetings. The new moon, a time of new beginnings, a time to plant your intentions. After the new moon, we come to the first quarter. This phase of the moon occurs when the moon is more illuminated, but it is not yet a full moon. The energies are said to be growing, so any intention you had at the new moon, assuming you are maintaining your focus, then the energy will be growing at this time quite nicely. This is the time to put ideas in motion as efforts will grow, a time to nurture what you seek, a time to take action and watch your garden grow. I have so many times linked this phase of the moon to the Empress card in the tarot. The Empress, she has planted seeds in the garden and is at a stage where patience is needed for things to grow, and faith that even though we don't always know exactly how things will turn out, we trust that they will grow into something amazing. So we then move on to the full moon. This is when the moon is brightest in the sky, fully illuminated by the light of the sun. This is also the time of the lunar cycle when you could see a lunar eclipse. This will occur when the moon passes through the shadow of the earth. So to understand the full moon is to appreciate. It will heighten your emotions. It cannot do anything that is not already present. This means if you wake up in the morning and you kind of feel okay, the full moon can enhance your okay emotions to perhaps a state of greatness. On the other hand, if you wake up feeling, shall we say, under the weather, then the moon could actually bring you down. But always, feelings are heightened. And for this reason, it may be wise to delay making any decisions, any important decisions, for another day. Now, the full moon energy is at its strongest for 3 days. The day before, the day after, and on the day itself. This could be a time to assess the progress of your intentions, eliminate what is unwanted, and simply concentrate or meditate on what you seek over the next 2 weeks and on bringing all existing projects to fruition. So we now move on to the last quarter or third quarter. At this phase of the moon's lunar cycle, the moon is less than fully illuminated, but more than half. This is the final sliver of illuminated moon that we can see before the moon goes into complete darkness again. This is a time to release what no longer serves us, end outdated habits, stand down or resign, downsize, and restructure, dissolve partnerships, time for self-analysis, rest, recuperate, and heal. Ideal time to empty cupboards and throw out anything you no longer need. Clean or paint, repair. This is a real time for declutter and clear away. Tie up loose ends and create a fresh, tidy foundation for any new projects, all ready for the next new moon. Finally, there is the dark of the moon, which is 3 days before the new moon. It is the most negative time in the moon cycle. I would say that this is a phase of the moon I haven't seen much about. Yet I feel it is perhaps the most important time to be aware of, and to studiously avoid starting anything new if you can. Leave whatever you can for another day. It's dark, it's heavy. Just 3 days before the sight of the new moon. This may be the best time for relaxation, contemplation, and giving the mind and body time to rebalance, ready for the next new moon, when the energies will become high, lighter, energetic, creating motivation and enthusiasm, because this period, 3 days before the new moon, the dark of the moon, can make us feel really tired, lethargic, as though we need to retreat. Use this time for relaxation and contemplation. How to work with the phases of the moon. Some like to tap into the energy of the new moon in order to fulfill their goals by turning their desire into a ritual. Remember, what you focus on grows, and any ritual or practice we start can keep us focused on our goals and desires. I see this as inspired action, and with regular practice, we can find ourselves actually gaining more by simply going with the flow. Furthermore, we can find ourselves achieving more for less energy invested. The teachings will explain more, but for now, I think the best place to start is to acquire a journal in order to make entries, in order to follow and learn from your own personal experience, or to simply invest in a diary that has been marked with the moon's phases. Then you need to have an intention, a goal, a wish. I always recommend focusing on just one desire that you wish to manifest at any given time. One way you can do this is by lighting a candle or some incense. I love frankincense oil, or frankincense resin is great. It can quieten the mind of all mental chatter. Sit in a quiet space where you can relax. Meditation, visualization, and affirmations will all help to release your intention. This we will explore more on the program. You could take a ritual bath or shower. Some use sea salt to clear themselves of all negative energies. You may also wish to create an altar with your sacred objects that represent your desire. Perhaps a toy car, if it is a car you seek to attract. Or perhaps tools to support your practice, such as pictures, stones, and crystals. Others write down what they desire. Or perhaps you could make a prayer time and focus on your goal when the moon becomes new. Or any time between the new moon and up to the full moon. Another consideration is to make your space sacred. This could involve burning sage to cleanse the space. And perhaps use salt and or appropriate crystals used for protection. All this and so much more will be covered in the program. In the meantime, never overlook the simplicity of looking up at the moon and be inspired by what you see. Connect with her energy and make a wish. I hope you found this helpful. Remember, the farmer never messes with the soil. Once he's planted the seeds, he doesn't need to poke and prod to see how things are going. He just knows that what he once planted in the ground will grow. He knows this because he has prepared the soil and all is ready. That is the law of cause and effect. Thank you. I hope this made sense. I will see you at the teachings where we can look in detail at the preparation for planting your intentions and a powerful new moon ritual ready for you to try at the next new moon. And please ask any questions in the comments. I will try my best to answer. I may even create a video with the answer. Till next time, take care everyone. Lots of love.